What's up, PERMIAS people? You are back with Ricky and Mentari.
And this is Ngobrol Yuk, Student Edition. Gila, katanya tuh Jakarta lagi banjir banget ya sekarang. I heard your house juga kena, Ki.
Nggak seberapa lah, Tar. Tapi ya masih bisa keliling lah gue naik motor. Kayak ini, Dilan.
Dilan, are you kidding me? Kalau lu mau jadi Dilan, there's two things that you need to have. First of all, you gotta have the authentic denim jacket, which maybe you can buy. But the other one, you have to have the Milea. Like, do you have that?
Ya jangan gitu juga sama gue. Ya okay, maybe I don't have Milea right now. But what I do have is a friend kayak Piyan.
Cakep, anjir.
Piyan, kayaknya bintang tamu kita tuh mirip banget deh sama Piyan. Well, our guest is definitely, he's an actor. He's also a student in St. Olaf University, Minnesota, double majoring in psychology and also philosophy.
Udah.
Hai.
Teman-teman, Omara Esteghlal.
Yay!
Hi.
Omar.
Hi. Thank you, Mentari and Rifki. Wow. Hi.
Thank you so much for coming. By the way,
no.
in the midst of apa lagi kesibukan. I mean.
No. Thank you for having me. Really, thank you for having me. Rifki contacted me saying PERMIAS was we want to do an interview with PERMIAS, and I was like, that's cool. You know, maybe my excitement wasn't shown when I was talking to Rifki because it rarely does. But I was so excited to be here, and I'm really thankful that we get to talk.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, man, I really appreciate you coming here because we really love to have your insight on how it is like to be a student in the US. And before we start, ini Minnesota dan segala macam state di US lagi pada kena snowstorm. Lo kelihatannya pakai baju tropis banget ya?
Kan di Indonesia.
Oh.
Iya, itu belum dijelasin, lupa. So so I don't know. I haven't. Jadi pas in the beginning of pandemic, I think it was April or March, I decided to go home karena I thought, my visa is ending last June because I spent 2 years in United World College pas in New Mexico. Jadi so my F1 visa have already expired for 5 years there. And I thought, well, what if I was stuck in the US? I thought it would be better if I got stuck in Indonesia for some time and do some stuff versus getting stuck in the US. Well, school is not there and all I have is just hanging out with friends. Seru sih hanging out with friends, but after a month or two, it becomes, what are we doing now? So that was my choice. Stupid me didn't really expect that the visa office will get closed because of COVID and stuff. And here I am, not stuck in the US, but stuck in Indonesia because I can't go back because I don't have my visa extended.
Oh, well, but it's okay. It's gonna pass soon, hopefully. Well, I mean, let's go way back to the beginning. Tadi kan also a little bit of your journey in United States. We want to know, like, how did you end up like in the Indonesian entertainment industry? I mean, like, what's your story? Apalagi kan kita udah banyak your childhood movies.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, what's your story about this?
I actually don't have any special story about that because from all I remember when I was a kid, I think I played several commercials and advertisements, posters, and all these stuff. It's never major and anything. But then I remember liking theater at some point, and I went on and did that. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember which was the turning point. Oh yeah, no. There we go. So I joined this theater thing, and I did that for over 3 years or so. But it was never major or anything. It was just a part of my life, kind of a thing. It's like, after school you go do that. And then I had to spend time with swimming as well. I was in the same team with Rifki.
Wow.
Then yeah, actually, and then I stopped that, and then I just continued on theater. And at some point, there's this guy, his name is Rudy Sujarwo. He's quite a well-known director, and he approached this theater and said, would you like to do some casting and stuff? I was like, yeah, sure. There begins my first movie. I think it was 2011. It was about Boy Scouts and everything, and he talked to me and he said, I want a second movie with you. And I was like, okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, I was a kid and I was so happy. I was so overjoyed. There was a second movie. I had to beat up someone in my second movie. But then afterwards, nothing really, I didn't really pursue that because I went on an interview 2 years after. It was 2015 when I go to the US. And the movie was 2013. So, there was a year of gap and everything. And then I tried applying for this thing called United World College program. If any of you have ever heard, it's basically an IB high school, which is available in 17 different countries. And inside it, there are 200 students from roughly 120 countries or so. Very, very intercultural and stuff, where people bond and everything. And yeah, that was 2015 was quite packed. I released a book and then I applied, and then I basically went off to the US. Sorry, really sorry.
No worries, all good.
Yeah. So I was in the US for 2 years. I never really did anything there until I brought in Iqbal. I persuaded him to join me in the school, and he became my junior. It was interesting because I asked him to apply. He loved the whole program. I was telling him, and he was like, "Oh wow, that's so cool! I'm gonna apply." I was like, "Yeah, apply." And then he became my junior, and then he went. And we were in one school, and well, we spent. It was a dormitory for a year. And pretty much it was him who I saw as Indonesia, because he was like, him and another girl is the only people I can find who's from Indonesia who speaks the same language, We went home and he called me. He said, hey, I have this project, a movie. I don't want to do movies anymore, he said, but can you help me out? Because I don't know, I'm so bored doing this. And I was in the position I really don't want to do movies anymore. But I was like, might as well. I'll do it for a friend. He asked for favor. Come. So I came, and that's where the Dilan thing happened. I just thought it was a small project. Everyone thought it was a small project, and apparently it was as so. But then I left for the US, so I really didn't know the hype whatsoever. So I think that was the next question about balancing. I'm not gonna step through.
No, but I'm still amazed.
Sorry,
like how Omar, like in the beginning, he said that he's trying to figure out which advertisement is. So it was like berarti gila banget dong. You did a lot of like advertisement, like movie. Like that's crazy. That's cool. Okay.
Mark, knowing that I've known you for some time now, and I know you've been and you've been doing commercials and such in the entertainment industry. And then suddenly you get this opportunity to go to the US. How did that decision for you to get to the US impact you and the potential career that you have back then? Which played into that.
Back then it didn't matter at all. Not for a second. Back then all I thought was just this was a thing I do, and studying is always it's there, and that's what I'm pursuing. But then it becomes, the devil starts whispering me these days. They told me, because Dilan, the trilogy, was quite a success. It was, a lot of people watched it, and it was a box office movie, second top grossing, all these stuff. I don't want to go deep into that, but the reason why I didn't really enjoy, I didn't really get the sweetness of that sort of exposure was because I went to the US, simply because of that. And as much as Instagram game can go, I had to basically split my time between, well, the time zone in Indonesia is such, so I have to post at certain amount of time. And of course, the lazy person as I am, lost track. So because of that, I think that's one major challenges that I face between that. And conversely, I think when I went on and there are projects and stuff, right? And let's say it takes 2 weeks. That 2 weeks of being in Indonesia will take time from studying in the US. So of course there's these kind of things, I don't know. I really don't know about the impact and such. Time is a crucial matter here because, well, of course, when you have business, Riff, I know you can jump into that. When you're still studying at Colorado, CSU, when you have to do something, right? When you're jamming and when you're doing your business, of course, there's always an opportunity cost that you're battling with, right? Because time is a crucial matter here, because if you want to pursue that, and in some ways you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do after college, this is what I'm going to do, but also I still have this, so it's like you're having your heads in two different pools, and that's always the concern, I think.
But again, like talking about the managing stuff, like managing time and everything else, how did you, you were able to pass through it? Like, how did you do it? As you said before, your work, most of it is in Indonesia, and like your school is here.
Yeah.
I barely can handle 2 papers in like a week, and like, how did you do that?
Right. Well, I think at some point I just don't care about being tired, I'll go on, I'll finish shooting at around 10 or 11. My classes would be at 12. Indonesian time, right? Because it'll be like 11 a.m. in Minnesota. And I just stayed up, and I think it also helps that my mindset works. I need to work under pressure. So I can't, okay, this might be controversial, and I know it works only for some people, and for some others, this is just a horrible plan. But I really don't have a time schedule in terms of school. I really don't have a plan. Let's say I have a paper. I just don't know when I'm going to start until I'm going to start, And it's a bet. It's a risky bet, really. But it helps sometimes, because I'd say, okay, there's a huge paper. It's 15 pages on, like, say, I don't know. Let's give a hard topic, aesthetics. And I don't know how to start. I really don't know how to start. And let's say I have 3 weeks to do that. And it would be amazing if I could just do a page a day, right? I'll postpone that until 2 days before the deadline, as any college students would. But then it works, given the whole thing. I know it's not a good answer whatsoever. You might want to omit that from the whole interview, but yeah, that's how it works.
As long as you get it done, right?
Yep. Somehow. Done is better than perfect.
Exactly.
Now, moving from that to your school. So you study psychology and philosophy, double major. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat interconnected, but two different areas of study.
Yeah. And huge mistake of my life. Yeah, go on.
What made you choose these majors?
Oh boy, psychology, because I thought it was nice. Psychology I chose because, well, I've always loved the theory of why people think. Simply that. I mean, yeah, people think, people do stuff, people act, but why is what I want to know. That was psychology. So I really wanted to do psychology since I was 15 or so. Interestingly, that's one subject I was failing from, in comparison to philosophy. Philosophy was impulsive. I went on my first year, and because it's a liberal arts college, we are supposed to take a whole variety of classes in order to graduate. And I think one of the requirement for, I think it was human behavioral studies or so. It's a whole requirement. But yeah, I took this course called Philosophy of Mind and Kierkegaard. There's two courses, and it was Kierkegaard and existentialism, and there's Philosophy of Mind. I really didn't know what those words meant then, but I took them because it sounded cool. But first day I fell in love. I really fell in love, and I thought, ever since that day, I just thought everyone should study this. Everyone in Indonesia should study this because it'll solve all problems. Religious problems, it'll solve that. It'll solve economic instability problem. I mean, it won't make everyone rich or poor, or the gap would no. It won't do such things, but it would prepare our own mentality to face those things. I think the reason why I think philosophy is really important in my life is because I found the answers towards, well, why are we so dwelled into environmental, religious problems these days? Maybe it's because of identity. It's not. Maybe in retrospect, it's not that severe. People are so worried about. Well, no, look, I'm Muslim and you're, Catholic, and we can't really be friends. Or like, oh no, those people are terrible for, supporting this certain figure who's now in jail. All these stuff, but in retrospect, maybe it's not that. Maybe the problem isn't that. Maybe the problem is just we live in a place where we're just having identity crisis. Everyone is having identity crises, and we're trying to prove that through religion, and to division, and maybe it's that. Yeah. So that's how I went on to those two.
Like, I can see like how he's very passionate in like talking about philosophy. But again, like after you study about philosophy, you said that it could solve many problems. How do you really connect like the study at St. Olaf, which is like, for example, like the philosophy, with like your profession like as an actor right now?
Oh yeah, that's a bit hard to answer. When I saw that, that's a bit hard to answer. I can answer for psychology. In terms of psychology, for you who's curious, well, if you were to act, for example, given that's the profession I'm doing, if you were to act, there's, you could use memory, but you could also use sort of theories, and like, let's say you want to portray sadness in camera, and well, I mean, psychology really helps in terms of defining what sadness it is. It's like, what's the reason? Oh, what's the result? Or, for example, I have to portray someone with a certain habit. Because I learned clinical psychology, I can sort of portray, let's say, oh, OCD's like this, and all that stuff. But philosophy really, I suppose I'm trying to write now, and I'm getting there. It'd be my second book, but it helps a lot because yeah, I think that's the only sort of medium I could portray freely. Yeah, I don't know how it really helps. Really, I really don't know. It helps me talk in press conferences, but that's it.
Still, it's something. Yeah, it helps you in some
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
I think.
Well,
I suppose.
Now knowing that you've spent more than 5 years, I believe, right? 2015, right? So
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
almost 6 actually.
Yeah.
Almost 6 years studying in the US. What is your biggest takeaway as a student, and what advice do you have for prospective students coming to the US to pursue their degree?
Right. I always say these things before someone. For those who want to jump into the US academic pool, I suppose one of the major cultural shock is the fact that you have to learn in order to bond, which is different from Indonesia. What I mean by learning, but you need to learn in order to bond is US could be a more individualistic society than Indonesia is, right? I mean, can you both agree to that? You're as being alums of the US. But then don't let that sort of attitude prevent you from knowing the professors, because really the difference between the US and Indonesia is the US is really open for your bond with the professor. And I think that's amazing, because you can really get close with the professor, learn a lot from them, let them help you in a lot of stuff, without costing anything. But that's just how it works, you know. That's A. B, I think maybe the difference is sometimes you will face the sort of atmosphere where you realize that you are responsible for your own. And especially for those who came from Indonesia and have their parents present around them, or have their group of friends around them, they'll come to a place where their parents will not be there, and their house will not be there, and even the language is different. I suppose getting used to that would take some time. But it's all in good fun, really. It's all in good fun. One major takeaway I could take from the US is, well, another, I just learned how to be more composed towards myself. I learned that maybe people care to an extent, as so far that maybe some problems need to be dealt with before being expressed. It's one of those things, you know. I think it's really good. I mean, those takeaways really can't be, because look, we live in a very familial society, right? Everything is family. Everything is everyone's family, neighbor's family. And then you move to a place where things are different. You know, you're not necessarily family with the people in front of you. You're just coexisting as human beings. And I think as Indonesians, we have to get used to that. And the most important part is, when you go back to Indonesia, how do you sort of change this sort of cultural mindset in order for people to not think that, oh, kamu sombong, you know? It's one of those things. But being a social being in two countries I won't say challenge, but rather train you as a better sort of person. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, talking about, like you said, how you, the life experience and your study in the United States. So how it has changed you as a person itself, like you said before, like it trains you to be more like some kind of like more, how do you say it? Like, yeah, like how, can you tell us more about that? Maybe like how living in the US and as a person, and also maybe in professional way.
Right. I suppose, okay, look, because a lot of people think, you know, when they go out, they go abroad, they have these certain professional habit that they take. For me, really, that is just, how do I compose myself? You know, it's like how to stay composed, even though in strange and different situations. I think, how do I say it? It's just, look, when we have problems, when we're dealing with things, and we're in Indonesia, we have this certain like presupposition that everyone will help, because that's just the way it is here, right? But also conversely, the consequence of that is that people will always want to know your affairs. People will always want to know your problems. People will always want to know your connections and all that stuff, because what my information is everyone's information. You know, there's the benefits and cost there, but in the US is very different, right? People respect privacy, people respect spaces, people respect things. You know, there are things that you can ask, there are things that you can't ask. You know, it's those simple stuff. But I think it's really important, because when you go back to Indonesia, you without you realizing it, maybe even Rifki and you, Mentari, you become a more respectful being to friends. You realize that you don't really ask stupid or trivial questions that crosses the line. You know, you're like, oh, come on, tell me. Oh, come on. You don't have that sort of mentality anymore. If you're like, oh, tell me, I'm here, I'm supportive. And I see that as being a better friend. I see that as being a better social being, you know, because you don't really go and shopping with dragging shopping carts and looking at, say, a 50-year-old lady and having yourself to judge them unnecessarily. You know, you don't have to go to your friends, oh, look at those. You don't have to go. That ritual is not necessary anymore. You know, I think that's one major takeaway I have It's that, okay, you deal with your problems, you care for other people, but doesn't mean that you have to intrude their privacy. I don't know what else. I mean, I think that's one thing that's different socially. Academic, all those stuff, everyone will realize it's different, right? But I think this one major thing is the thing I respect the most about the US.
And that's really good to hear because I mean, I've known you for a long time, and I see how you've changed after we moved and met over there.
Yeah.
It's like knowing a new and better person. I mean, not only you, perhaps me and Mentari also changed, like you said, during our time in the US. So Mar, what's next for you?
Mm,
You have any upcoming movies?
yeah.
Anything your fans, I guess, would love to
All
know?
right, sure. Before that, I do want to tell a story. Rifki and I met at Colorado once upon a time. It was 2018, Rif, I think.
18,
But
17 to 18. It was New Year's.
17, 18. Yeah, yeah. It was New Year's. Um, he was there for a semester. That would be my second year in the US. And boy, are we different, you know? We were like, we had this time where we talked with each other, like we were talking and we're like, I don't know what we're doing here. But yeah, to answer like when Rifki said changes, I think one more thing before we go on is that I think we need to accept that changes are okay. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's all. Because I'm saying I think we need to get used to. Mungkin kita harus membiasakan bahwa perubahan itu, changes are good because we live in a society where people are so afraid of changes. Kita terlalu takut, oh orang nanti kalau keluar gimana, kalau anakku keluar anakku akan berubah, anakku akan blah blah blah. It's always a concern, but then you have to realize that it's okay because in order for you to grow up you have to change. It doesn't matter if you're in the US, it doesn't matter if you're in Indonesia, it doesn't matter if you never leave your religious side. You will always change as a person. That's just human beings. And I think one major takeaway is in order for you to change, you have to be okay with changing. You don't have to have that personal struggle inside yourself. It's like, I would love to dance, but I'm so afraid that my parents won't be proud of me. There's always that concern. I'd say, karena I think ini ajangnya untuk Permias, I'm not saying that go against that, but just explore. If you love it, you'll find a way to do it. What's next? I just finished a movie. Judulnya Balada Roy. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna make short clips, the US, and I'm gonna submit it to Permias. Yay! No, but seriously, I'm gonna record my life there, being the last semester in Minnesota, and yeah, I'm gonna publish that. Just a small short clip, Instagram format. Movie Balada Roy, and there is another one called Kadet 1947. So maybe 2 movies coming up 2021. I don't know what else. What's next? I'll be seeing Rifki soon because he's always bailing on me. I'm so sad.
You that kind of person, huh?
Am I, huh? Are we talking like that now? Come on.
Okay. But Omar, I have a question for you. I think this might be personal as like fans beratnya Dilan 1990 and all the trilogy. Kira-kira kapan kita bisa expect kelanjutannya cerita about you in that series?
I don't know. But I'll personally message you if I know. I don't know. I really,
I'll wait
really
for
don't
that.
know.
I'll be waiting for that for sure.
All right. I don't know. That'll be fun though. I don't know.
Well, we're super excited to have
again
2021. Thank you very much for.
No. I'm so honored and humbled that you guys basically have the time to talk to me. I'm sorry if I bore your minds out at some point, but thank you so much.
No. Oh my god, he's like we're the one yang kayak honored banget gila. Like he was able, like he wants to spend his time for us. Oh, thank you.
I'm the one who's very thankful. Rifki, thank you. It's nice meeting you, Rifki.
Nice to meet you.
See, Mentari Rifki is a very busy person. Yeah,
Yeah.
Every time I go, hey Rif, do you wanna hang out? Do you want just coffee? Just an hour of your life, an hour of your precious life. And he's like, no man, I have this, and it's always a different reason every day. So I'm just like, okay, you know what? I don't know.
Rifki, I hope you don't treat me that way. Nanti kau udah balik ke Indo.
You got me on the spot.
Aduh. Oh wow.
Mentari kapan-kapan aku mau ikutan dong, tapi aku jadi Rifki jadi di interview.
Beneran?
Boleh nggak?
Boleh banget,
Ya, beneran.
boleh banget. Apalagi kan
Ya, boleh ya.
songwriter di sini nih.
Balik aja.
Ya.
Aku sama Omar yang interview Mentari.
Enggak, jadi jatuhnya CSU alum, co-founder and CEO of Urban Eats, co-founder and CEO of apa itu, terus habis itu vocalist ya. Habis itu nanti baru kita interview Mentari.
Okay,
Songwriter, singer/songwriter, biasanya kan kayak gitu, gitu.
We're gonna have a special edition for that. Just wait for it.
Omar juga musisi.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, again, we're
Thank you.
excited very much. Guys,
Thank you.
Ada kapan keluar Mar?
Nggak tahu. Bioskop aja belum. Kita nunggu vaksin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
We'll catch you guys later on the next episode of Ngobrol Yuk Student Edition. See you guys.
Bye.